Hi everyone, my name is Shauna in case you don't know, and welcome back to another video. So I am a big Doctor Who fan, and Doctor Who Flux recently wrapped up, and I'm going to be ranking the Doctor Who Flux episodes as well as giving my thoughts on them. Before I get any farther in this video, let me tell you a little bit about myself and Doctor Who. I started watching Doctor Who back in 2015, I want to say. I started with Christopher Eccleston, watched all the way through, and I've been watching the new episodes that have been releasing since Capaldi's second or third season. For me personally, I love the 13th Doctor. I do think that there is some issues with the 13th Doctor, like her companions were not necessarily the best written. So I'm a little bit in between these people who hate the 13th Doctor era and who love the 13th Doctor era. Like, I'm in the middle. Like, there's things I do not like about it, but there's things I like about it. So I hope that my thoughts will be interesting, and I hope that you can see that I am not going to be like just full on hating on Doctor Who Flux, because I actually enjoyed most of the 13th Doctor's previous seasons. But I do have some criticisms for Doctor Who Flux, and I'll be talking about that. So first of all, what is Doctor Who Flux? Because I was very confused when Doctor Who Flux first started. I didn't understand what it was. So it's a 6-episode story arc about the Flux, which is basically this like end of the universe event, and it takes a lot of the classic Doctor Who species and brings them into this like end of the world scenario and introduces the new companion Dan, and it is interesting, but it is not without flaws. So I'm gonna start with the best to the worst in my opinion. So I'll be ranking all 6 of these episodes. I think that the first episode that I choose everyone can agree is the best one, but I think that people may disagree with my later rankings of these episodes. So ranking number 1, my favorite episode of Doctor Who Flux was Village of the Angels. I really liked Village of the Angels because it felt so much like why I fell in love with Doctor Who. It was so clever, the time travel elements were very well incorporated, there was really interesting characters, there was tons of plot twists that I wasn't expecting in there. I love the way that they were using the Weeping Angels in that episode. I thought it was just an all-around great episode. If I were to rewatch any of the Doctor Who Flux episodes, it would definitely be Village of the Angels because it was my favorite. I loved it so much, and I wish all of the other episodes in Doctor Who Flux had the same feeling for me of joy and excitement that it brought me. And this one, when I think of Doctor Who, like, this is the type of storyline that pops up. These other storylines that weren't Village of the Angels were a little lackluster, and so Village of the Angels is definitely high on this list. I don't really have any criticisms for Village of the Angels, but I do have criticisms for the other ones in Doctor Who Flux. So then number 2, my second favorite, is The Halloween Apocalypse. I thought that it was a great introduction to Dan. I liked how there were so many different elements being incorporated into this that were setting up the story for the next episodes of Doctor Who Flux. I thought that it was a very great introduction. However, Doctor Who Flux was very, very hyped up by everyone online, including fans and the Doctor Who official social media. It was hyped up so much so that this first opening episode, The Halloween Apocalypse, felt very underwhelming and it felt overhyped. And I feel this way for all the other episodes too, besides Village of the Angels. They all felt very overhyped. They tried to make it look so epic and incredible in the trailers and in the social media posts, but they did it too much. It's like how I feel with a lot of the Marvel movies. Not all of them, but a lot of them felt like way overhyped based on what they were like promoting in the trailers and how much people were posting about it. And that's sort of how I feel about this whole Doctor Who Flux thing. Like, it was way too much promoted, the trailers made it look way too epic, and I had too high expectations for it, and so I was disappointed when I went around and watched it because it was too hyped up by the social media in terms of both fans and the official accounts. Number 3 on my ranking is War of the Centaurans. So first of all, I don't like Centaurans. They've never really been super duper interesting to me. I don't like their appearance, I don't like their personalities, and I find that a lot of the episodes that Centaurans are in are bland. And so I was surprised that this one ranks so high on my ranking, but it honestly does because I really liked the historical elements of this one. I love the fun episodes just in modern times or in the future in Doctor Who, but something about the historical episodes just hits so much harder for me and are so much more fascinating to me because I love learning about these times in history. I've recently become more interested in history, and so I really like the historical episodes of Doctor Who, and I really liked all the historical tidbits that were in this episode. Even though there's aliens, it's still historical, this episode. So my 4th favorite one is Survivors of the Flux. So I thought that Survivors of the Flux was very confusing. I was looking online to see if other people were confused by Doctor Who Flux as well, and I was surprised to find that some people were very like condescending in what they were saying and saying like, oh, you just aren't paying attention well enough. Like, hey, I was paying attention fully. I was looking up stuff like after the episode too to help me understand it, and I still found myself to be very confused by Survivors of the Flux. However, I thought that Survivors of the Flux was a very fun and interesting episode, and I loved the parts in the past with Yaz, Dan, and Jericho. So Survivors of the Flux is definitely number 4 on my ranking. It is not my favorite, not one that I would rewatch, but it was one that I did genuinely enjoy. So number 5, my second to least favorite, The Vanquishers. So The Vanquishers had some moments that I actually enjoyed. However, it didn't pack the punch that I was hoping for. Like, it was the finale. I was hoping for something epic and amazing, and I just didn't get that from this episode. I found that the whole splitting the 3 doctor across 3 different locations was really confusing, and I understand why they didn't. I understand that it was necessary, but I still found it confusing. I felt that there was a lot of loose ends that could have been done better, like what happened with the serpent. Like, I felt like his character had so much potential, but then he was just sort of like tossed out there. And then with the doctor dropping her memories in the TARDIS so her TARDIS hides it from her, I didn't understand her reasoning behind that. So this episode was fun but not amazing. I really liked Vinder and his story arc, so I'm glad that he had a happy ending. However, this episode is not my favorite. And my least favorite episode of Doctor Who Flux is Once Upon Time. I unfortunately don't have too many positive things to say about this episode. I think that all the actors did an incredible performance in this episode, especially for the script that they were given. However, I was thoroughly confused in this episode, and I felt like I was getting whiplash trying to keep track of what was happening, like with the doctor jumping back and forth between all these different like time streams that she put all of the different characters in. I was so confused. I had such a hard time following it. This one is definitely my least favorite one in this whole Doctor Who Flux, but it isn't necessarily a super terrible episode. It might be my least favorite episode of Doctor Who, but it's not my least favorite episode of TV. I've definitely seen worse. It's just not the greatest in terms of Doctor Who episodes. So that was my ranking of the Doctor Who Flux episodes and my thoughts on them. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to me if you haven't already. I love Doctor Who and I've talked about it a few times on my channel so far, so I'll be linking a playlist down in the description below with all of my Doctor Who videos. If you have thoughts on Doctor Who Flux, feel free to leave your thoughts down in the comment section. There has been a lot of people who love it and a lot of people who hate it, so I'm very curious to hear what other people's thoughts on it are. But sometimes talking about this new era of Doctor Who can really be like volatile and aggressive, so just be respectful of what other people comment, be nice in the comment section. I'm very much looking forward to the next episode of Doctor Who when it comes out, and I am sad that Jodie Whittaker is leaving as the Doctor after this season, because I feel like if we had a different writer, her character could have been so much better. And she's an incredible actress. It just felt like the script and storylines that she was given weren't as strong as the previous Doctors. I upload videos 3 times a week, so my next video will be uploaded tomorrow on Tuesday, and that will be a book-related video. I hope all of you stick around to watch that one. Until next time, goodbye!